Man, what a way to respond for Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. What a way to respond. And I want to give props mainly to Dak Prescott for how he played. Because after losing to the Washington Commanders and having an absolutely terrible game against the Commanders out there, Dak Prescott comes into the playoffs and just plays outstanding. 5 touchdowns in this game, man. 5 touchdowns. 4 passing and 1 rushing. I mean, just imagine the pressure that he was under after last week. Even I was saying, that's a bad loss. For him to come out there and do that is just outstanding. Because if he loses this game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with an aging Tom Brady, if he loses this game, think about what everybody's saying out there. Think about what they would have said. Oh, you shouldn't have paid him. He hasn't had a playoff level quarterback. All these things that they could have said about him. And also his coach would have been on the hot seat if they lost this game. All these things were going against Dak Prescott. He comes up there with that performance. I mean, that's got to be one of the best bounce-back games I think I've ever seen. It was that type of game for Dak Prescott. It was that type of game. And this isn't a scrub defense. This is a defense everybody was saying, you need to watch out for them. Watch out for this team. Watch out for the Buccaneers. Nobody wants to play them. You got that defense with Tom Brady, who's always great in the postseason, in the playoffs. That's what was said, man. And Dak Prescott comes out there and does this. He's just the 5th player to do this in the playoffs now, according to ESPN Stats and Info. Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, and Tobin Rote. Only other quarterbacks to have that type of game in the playoffs. I mean, my gosh, man. My gosh. And I shouldn't be surprised for how they bounce back, because the Cowboys have done this all season long. Whenever they lose a game, they come back and win not just one game. They come back and win a couple. And that proved to be the same against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I've been critical of this Dallas Cowboys defense over the last couple of weeks. I've been critical. If you've listened to this podcast, you know I don't think they've been playing to their standard. And I think that's why they started, trailing down and almost losing to some of these very bad teams. And then losing to Washington Commanders, who was, a decent team, but that's not a good loss for the Dallas Cowboys. I've come out and said that's the reason why they were struggling. And this defense came out and played one of their best games of the season as well. Against Tom Brady. He did not look comfortable out there. Tom Brady looked like he was struggling out there against this defense. You got the greatest quarterback of all time. Now, I know he's not necessarily in his prime, but you got the greatest quarterback of all time. He still got it up there mentally. He still has the read coverages. To have him shaking like that, to have him, off balance, it made him miss throws late in the game that he always makes. Like it was like an out route to his best receiver that he missed late in the game. Micah Parsons and those guys, man, they were getting pressure on Tom Brady for the majority of this game, and that really affected him. They forced Tom Brady to turn the ball over in the red zone. I mean, I don't think you understand how crazy that is. Tom Brady had 86 touchdowns and 0 interceptions coming into that. 86 touchdowns. He does not turn the ball over in that part of the field. And the Dallas Cowboys defense came through. This is what I said. This is how good they are. This is what made them so great. This is how they had Cooper Rush come in and lead the way and still keep going, still keep winning games. It's the Dallas Cowboys defense. And so you have that defense play that way, along with Dak Prescott playing one of the best games of all time in the playoffs. I mean, that's a recipe of success, man. They all were playing great. Every single Cowboy. Well, except for their kicker. But we'll get to the next time. All right, let's get to the next thing.
You're listening to the Rip Jersey Podcast.